Alright, so I've just pulled into the lodge parking lot and I gotta start recording these conversations because I get into some really random ones but that are really sweet and awesome. But anyway, I pulled into the lodge parking lot and a gentleman just kind of flags me down. I'm still in my car. I roll down my window and he introduces himself as Mr. Jimmy B, Bitcoin man, I don't know, it's Mr. B coin, something like that. And he gives me this thing. He says, "You're just the man I'm looking for, and I've been wanting to give you this." And he pulls out this white piece of paper with like 20 names on it, some of whom are vloggers. And he was like, "In a drawing that I had myself, I want to give these coins out for Run Good. It says limited edition $10 gaming token." I don't know if this has any value, not that it matters to me. But the sentimental value is high because apparently this coin is supposed to bring a lot of run good. And Ben Deach was out there and apparently he got one and he ran well after receiving this coin. So let's hopefully we get some similar run good associated with this coin because God knows we need it. But anyway, we're at the lodge. We're gonna film the last part of this vlog. Hopefully we run well. I'm a little bit late to the game, so I'm just gonna run in. Y'all wish me luck.
Bunch of fan favorite regulars in the building on a Friday. Happy weekend to all. Summertime poker at the lodge. It'd be nice if Doug could take a seat. Why do you get here? Take a seat, Doug. Sit down. Ski instructor Pierre, seat 1, 20K. Forrest Gump, a.k.a. Andrew, 2 seat for 20. Efan coming in for 8K. The short stack, the shorty. 4 seats going to be Douglas. Next to Doug will be High. Not sure what Doug's coming in for. Do we know what Doug's coming in for?
Don't know. It's
probably
heaps.
It's probably a lot. Heaps, huh? Heaps. High's coming in for 20. JWIN in the building for 15.
First hand for the vlog. We open an early position with pocket kings. Justin calls a middle position and High closes the action in the straddle. We're going 3 ways to the flop. The flop is fairly connected, 10, 8, 7, 2 hearts. So when High checks it to me, I want to put in a big bet and try to continue in position. I bet half pot, $500, and wait to see how my opponents react. Justin gets out the way, which is great. Since he has a lot of cards in this range, he has pocket 10s if he's not 3-betting, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, plenty of jack 9 suited, 8-7 suited, etc. Anyway, plenty of hands with great equity against my early position range. Back to High, and I'm waiting to see what he does. And he does the unexpected. He raises me 3x out of position to 1.5k. It's not a big raise. I mean, with 3k in the pot, I'm getting 3 to 1 to continue in position. I think a lot of times I should just pay this off and evaluate turn. But in the moment, we were multi-way, and it's difficult for the out of position player to find a bluff here. I credited High with a bunch of 2 pair plus combinations, so I decided to just wait for a better spot. And begrudgingly, I fold. Of course, I just found out that High got out of line here, but props to him for always driving the action. He definitely got the best of me in this one, but don't worry, I'll get him back. It folds to the blinds. I'm in a small blind with King 7 suited. Happy to take initiative here and raise it to 400. Only Justin calls. Heads up to a flop of 8, 8, 5, 2 hearts. In a single raise pot, Justin has a ton of disconnected cards, so let's try to get those to fold out. I start with a bet of 400, but Justin quickly raises it to 1.2k. Not much to think about, I just fold. Although it would have been interesting to see what I would have done with a second pair or some kind of draw.
So JWIN was hailed in the parking lot coming in by the coin man, who gave him a nice old coin from the Plaza Hotel. So the coin man strikes again. Thank you, coin man.
How many coins does the coin man have?
Back to battling with High. High raises an early position. I'm to his left and look down to ace jack of diamonds. It's a 3-better fold spot, and to be honest, I should just be folding here, especially with several capable guys behind me. But it's a stream game, so let's get it in. It folds back around to High, who closes the action, so we're heads up to a flop, which isn't bad. Queen jack 3, 2 clubs. When High checks it over, it's an easy C bet for us. I start with a 1/3 sizing, and High calls. The turn is an offsuit 10. High checks, and I decide to slow down as it's easy for High to have me beat here. The river is an offsuit 6. High fires 2k into the pot. While he is a loose player, he has a ton of good hands here from several straights, 2 pairs, and sometimes a disguised set. During the hand even, I mentioned that it feels like king-queen, but couldn't trust my instinct. I decided to pay him off, and of course, I'm wrong. This was just a bad play. Bad pre-flop, good flop and turn, but failed again on the river. This is why you gotta play good ranges and pick your spots, and not get stuck in bad situations. Early position action again, this time with 10s. I raise it to 250 and only find resistance with Forrest, who's on the button. He 3-bets it at 800 and it's an easy call from me. So let's see a flop. Flop isn't too bad. It's king 4-3, 2 clubs. I check to play in flow, and surprisingly, no c-bet. Some of the hands that won't need a c-bet here is queen queen, jack jack, so I still need to be careful. The turn is a 9 of spades. Once again, the action goes check check. I'm not exactly sure what to think of the action, but I'm not complaining. The river doesn't change anything, and we get to see a cheap showdown. Our 10s win the hand, which is awesome. Forrest for fun shows us 3-2 off, which is one of his favorite hands. It's an interesting hand to defend against since you never see it coming. But if he's 3-betting with hands like this and 7 deuce off, how should we adjust? How light do we 4-bet him back? Let me know in the comments. Lots of folding in this round. It gets to Doug in the small blind and he starts the action. A raise to 300. High calls and I close out the action. The flop is jack 8-8, 2 clubs. Doug and I checks, and on a paired board, I want to be careful of reopening the action, especially since I want to see a turn and a river, so I just check it back. The turn is a 3 of spades. This time, Doug puts in a small bet. High folds, and I'm happy to make the call. I don't really ask for much, but give me a club one time, and there we go. Ace of clubs, which gives us a flush. Doug doesn't bet the river, so it's up to me what I want to do here. A check bet check line is extremely weak, so I'm not afraid of getting check raised here. I want to bet for value, but what am I targeting? I decided to bet $900, which is slightly over half pot, targeting a jack or some smaller pair. Doug thinks it over, but eventually folds. He was in the tank for a second there, and I was surprised that I almost got looked up by a king. Since I don't really have any bluffs on a river, perhaps my river sizing should have been a lot smaller. But I don't hate it. It's possible to get called by worse sometimes. So this spot's pretty interesting, and it's with seasoned pro Pierre, the 3rd best player from Italy. He opens it up from middle position and get called by high in the big blind and me in the straddle. 3 ways to the flop. The flop is ace jack 6, 2 spades. Pierre bets 300, high folds, and I make the call with middle pair good kicker. Now, here's where the hand gets interesting. With a pot at 1.4k, Pierre bets 2x pot on the turn. Pierre has all 4 sets and various 2-pair combinations in his range, which makes his bet very difficult to defend against. What do you guys think though? I have some thoughts, but curious about what you guys think of the hand. Obviously I fold because the bet is just too big and it's going to be really hard to defend against any river bet. But I appreciate the hand and it's pretty cool to watch after the fact.
High will take it down. Cumulative winnings. There you see Doug up 22.9 thousand. Forrest up 13,000. Justin up $150. Everyone else is losing. The stash losing just $175. JWIN down 3,200. EFAN down 10,600 and throwing the party right now is High down 13,000.
If you like seeing people fight for pots, here's a good one. It folds to high in the button, and he raises it to 400. With king queen off, it's a standard 3-bet for me, from the small blind. I've been pretty quiet this evening, so hoping my table image can get a good fold here. Unfortunately, Justin has other plans. He puts in a 4-bet, and high painfully folds. For me, it's a pure fold as well. We don't get to see the flop here, but I personally enjoy these types of games, where everyone is just fighting for pots. I know that in the short term, the variance is going to be higher, and the profitability of the games are going to be all over the place. But if I'm concerned about being the best player that I can be, these are the types of guys that I gotta play with on a frequent basis. But aside from that, my favorite part was when High asks, "What do you have?" And Justin responds, "Ace King."
What do you have?
Ace King lying. Lying to a man's face right on stream.
That's just wrong.
What you have there? Ace King. My ass.
What a liar. It folds to me on the button, and I raise it to 250, with queen 10 of diamonds. When it folds to Pierre, he 3-bets at a 1.3k. He'll have a lot of pairs here and not many middling cards, as he should be happy to close the action and to see a cheap flop. This detail becomes handy later. Anyway, I call. So let's see a flop. The flop is 7-6-4, 2 spades. On this particular board, I have the nut and the range advantage and should be doing a lot of betting. Queen high isn't ever good here, so I should think about folding ace high type hands. Obviously, big pairs aren't going to fold just yet, but we bet to narrow down our opponent's range. I think my first mistake is not betting flop and checking it back. When Pierre leads on the turn, I felt like I should have folded. Overpairs are going to check the low middling boards a lot, as they don't have to protect their hand. So when there's a safe turn, it's natural to start getting value. While I don't think it's the worst thing to call once here, I do think it's pretty bad that I wasn't more thoughtful how dynamic the board was. So for example, what was my plan if a 5, 8, 9, or a spade come out? In the moment, I'll admit, I didn't think of this at all and I was more focused on my exact hand versus the actual range I was playing. I make the call and we're off to a river. The river is an offsuit 8, completing 2 straights. Pierre throws out a value bet, but it sort of acts like a blocker bet. This is up to me to detect and apply pressure as I have all of the 10-9s, 10s, 8s, 9-8, and more. I knew that the correct play was to raise, although folding is okay too, but definitely not to call. Well, that's what I do, which completes a trifecta. Mistakes on flop, turn, and river. Not sure what it is, but I didn't trust in my read and I didn't execute. This is poor poker. I'm glad that I was able to review this in depth, but it's getting harder and harder to spot more and more of these mistakes lately. By the time this vlog comes out, I made the decision that I gotta take 1 or 2 weeks off of social media, and that includes YouTube. I hope you guys understand. Last hand of the night. And it's a good one. High limps in early position. I'm in a +2 and I have a raising hand. Queen Jack suited. So raise it up to 400 bucks. It folds back around and high puts in a call. Heads up to the flop. The flop is above average. Queen Jack 2, rainbow. We flop 2 pairs. High checks to play and flow, and on this board texture, we're just gonna use small sizing. I put in a c-bet for $300 and get a call. When high makes the call, I think he folds a lot of his baby pairs, like 6 on down. Most likely, he would have raised his 7s plus, so I don't have these in his continuing range. Sometimes, he could have a hand like Jack 10 or Queen 10 off, but whatever it is, I want to structure my bets to keep all of these worse hands in. Off to a turn. The turn is the deuce, completing the rainbow, so no more backdoor flushes. Not that he would have many of these in his range anyway, but let's try to keep worst 2 pairs and random straight draws in. Usually here, I would want to size up to 2/3 or even 3/4 pot, but I elect for $900, which is a little bit more than half pot. I'm also avoiding using a yellow chip here. When high calls, I think all of his smaller pairs are eliminated from his range. I'm not worried about a 2 since the only 2 he would play the same way is ace-2 of clubs. Most likely, he has a queen or a jack in his hand. In the moment, I remember praying for a queen since I thought he could have been weighted towards top pair. When the river hits, it's perfectly fine with me. We have a boat and there's still some value to be had. High checks it over a 3rd time and I want to be careful of my sizing. I opt for less than a half pot size of 1.5k, targeting queens but hoping that he has the last jack in his hand. And he does. When he looks at his hand, it's a potential live read that he wants to double check to make sure he has a boat. Funny thing is, I do this as well. Check this out.
Look at JWIN. This is what Hollywood looks like, Rick.
Anyway, high raises it to 4.5k and we only have 1 action left. I go all in for 12.8k. Note that the graphic is incorrect and that high actually reloaded earlier and he actually covers me. Props to him though for even thinking about it. But are there even many people getting away from this spot? He eventually makes the call and I painfully share the bad news to him. He's a good guy and I hate to deliver the cooler, but there aren't many people who can take it like High does. He congratulates me and we're thankful for this hand because we're finally unstuck and up decent for this session. Alright, so we are wrapping up. Y'all probably saw that huge cooler hand and sucks that had to happen to High, but nothing for us to do other than to jam it in that river. Let's talk about the game. Tried our best. I think we could have folded the Queen 10 or jam it. I just hate flatting there. That's such a bad flat. When he has so much value on the flop, he doesn't have to bet flop. And so when he's just betting turn, he's just betting for value. He's just making sure that I don't have a set on that flop. Overall, I think it was a decent game. I think I made 1 mistake with the Queen 10. The King 10 in the beginning of the session, I didn't have to bet. Yeah, I don't think anything hugely noticeable. I mean, we just lost a couple of hands, didn't get there in a couple of hands. And it is what it is, but we did get 1 huge hand at the end of the night for consolation. And so let's talk numbers. 30.5. So we made about like 4.5k. So still stuck for the month for a tiny bit, but we'll keep playing. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. Have a great night. Love you guys. Peace.